Hello and welcome, my name is Turmentic, and today we are going to talk about the MetaZoo Hour that took place Friday, June 23rd, 2023. First things first, I want to wish Abysmal Taurus and Cutthroat Zoo from the MetaZoo archives happy birthday, happy birthday, hope you had a great day. Pesca asks, Mike, when will we see the next Fusion Aura? Mike responds with 7 Cs. That's been talked about a little bit before. 7 Cs will be the next time that we actually see Fusion Auras. They will be water-based, and instead of there being 9, we will only see 8 because we will have already had the Water Earth, and they've said before that they were not going to repeat dual auras. Billionaire Ant asks, how anime will Yokai Island be? Mike says, very kawaii. I honestly really like that once we get to the Yokai Island block that the art style is going to change somewhat. I'm really excited to actually see what the artist can do. The next question came from Tyrannus. Any plans for another Topps Chrome set, maybe with Headless Horseman? Mike just responded with a smiley face emoji. But we know that they have teased us that we potentially might be getting a Sapphire set, especially after how well Topps Chrome went. So I would be very surprised if we don't get another type of Topps product very soon. TMX Comics says, hi Mike, any plans for the art contest for 2023? Hope all is well. Mike says, more news next week, so that means that we should hopefully get some news about 2023 and how that's actually going to work fan art wise next week. I do remember seeing during the MetaZoo Hour that they were talking about age requirements, so I don't know if that means that they're going to actually have different brackets or if they're actually going to make it to where you have to be a minimum age, but we should get more info about the art contest for this year next week. Ethan Rayers asks, will we be seeing more restaurant collaborations after Arby's? I think regional restaurants having their own promos would be cool. Mike responds with, of course. That would be kind of cool to actually have specific fast food chains that are only on like the East Coast, West Coast, Texas, things like that, have their own exclusive promos. It would require people to actually go to those locations or to actually trade them between us. Like, I like that idea. I think that's kind of cool. It's very similar to the LGS promos that they've been talking about with Native that the partner stores are getting. Ferocious asks, will any cards from the 30th anniversary edition set be added to the reserve list? Mike says maybe, and that makes sense to be honest with you. First one that pops into my head right off the bat would be Invisible Ink. I could see that actually being added to the reserve list, never to be printed again. MetaZoo Collector asks, are you coming to Texas, Mike? And Mike responds with, yes, that's the plan. MKE Cyborg says, how far off until the online client and any spoilers about it? Mike responds with, end of summer. MKEC Cyborg then also asks, will the online client be supported on PC, Mac, iPhone, and Android devices? And Mike responds with, should be cross-platform, which is that's really exciting to me, because that means that it won't be exclusive to one device, one platform, anything like that. If I have an Android, you have an iPhone, we can actually play against each other using the client, and that's really exciting. At Hacker36 asks, is there an expiration date for the Wilderness tickets? And Mike responds, nope. Coop on the Sticks says, I need a MetaZoo show, Mike. And Mike responds with, same, for real, for real. And I kid you not, I'm in that same boat. Not only do I want to see the show, I want to be in the show, I cannot wait to actually see this universe in a show setting. Like, I just can't wait for the animated shorts that are coming out later this summer. Mars Lanani asks, any more Fresno Nightcrawler variants in the future? And Mike responds with just the emoji face. Now, I will say this is just me theorizing, but Fresno Nightcrawlers could show up in War. They have said before in the past that a lot of Beasties that we've only seen once or twice, from Wilderness, Cryptid Nation, things like that, that those Beasties should be showing back up in War. So it is possible we might actually see Fresno Nightcrawlers in War. Gumby101 asks, news on Glitchbit arcade series? And Mike responds with just a camera emoji. I'm taking that as I hope that they're getting close enough to where we should be getting test pictures soon. We should be getting some sort of test footage maybe from it. I really want to see this arcade. I want to see how it's going to operate. I'm really excited that depending on your score, it's going to spit out a card just like the old Japanese games used to back in the day regarding Pokemon. I'm excited that you can actually use the coins to play this, so I desperately want more information on where we stand with the arcade series. Pear Collects asks, first van tour stop, any hints at the top secret wrap? Andy responds with, "It'll be at Kansas City and Flame Tower. It'll also be at San Diego Comic-Con, but we'll be inside," meaning I'm taking that as the van and the whole group might be inside of the con. That would be awesome, in my opinion, if the van is like somehow actually inside of the event space. Spooky Molder asks, "Any chance you're looking for writers for future comics or stories or anything? I had some horror stuff published." Mike responds with, "After the main series is published, we will open the canon to other writers." Now that is really exciting to me because he's always encouraged a fan fiction of the MetaZoo universe. It's one of the things that we do over at Casters and Cryptids, that's why we set it in 2023, was because we wanted to help build some of that lore leading up to 2031 when the main story picks up. So I love the fact that Mike is already behind letting people take over the storyline as an extended universe. That's kind of how I took that, was if you think back in the old days of Star Wars before Disney, there was an extended universe that Lucas still had to sign off on the stories, but it was many different writers that kept the Star Wars universe growing. And that's how I interpreted that message. So I'm really excited about that. Once the main storyline is actually laid down, he's going to allow other writers to kind of fill in little gaps and add little bits and pieces to the lore of the MetaZoo universe. MetaZach asks, "Hi Mike, any updates on the book?" Mike responds with "soon," which then led us to the next question by Justin P. "When can we expect the first book to be available to purchase?" Mike responds with "end of summer/fall." Now, the book was always supposed to be announced or showcased actually at SDCC the last week of July. So it actually makes sense then that the distribution of the book would probably start sometime, I'd say, over the next month or so, which would be right around towards maybe the middle to end of August. So that would be right around like the end of summer, beginning of fall. Again, that's all speculative dates though, because at any point anything can be pushed. All I know is that I want that book. I need to read that book. I want to figure out what the storyline is so badly. So it's one of the main things I've been focusing on, is just trying to figure out exactly when I can get my hands on that book. But we don't have a specific street date yet. Mud asks, "Will there be mini sleeves for the world's smallest MetaZoo cards?" And CCE responds with "yes." MetaZoo Collector then asks Andy, "If Metakai and I host an in-person tournament the weekend of Flame Tower, will you pull up with the van and let me honk the horn?" Andy responded with that gift right there, so that's a binding contract. So if you hold that tournament, he has to show up and let you honk that horn. At Hacker36 asked, "Any idea when the scavenger hunt will be a thing, if it's still happening?" And Mike responded with "still happening," so no further update, but it is actually still a thing. MetaZoo Menace asks, "Will Bloody Mary have a second edition card, or appear in another set, an alt art, something of that nature?" Andy responds with, "What I will say is there are some cards that have only been seen once that will probably be seen again soon." Now again, going back to the Fresno Nightcrawlers question, that really screams war to me, making me really think that some of these beasties we haven't seen in a really long time are going to show up in war. Saying that also, most of these cryptids, most of these beasties actually have an SCP designation as well, so we could potentially see some of them as well in SCP later this fall when that comes out. Munch the Collector asks, "Any update on native streamer kits?" And Mike responds with "soon." We did get an update about a week ago or so, I believe, that streamer kits should be coming out sometime within the next, I want to say, 3 to 4 weeks. I don't have another hard date actually to give you for those streamer kits. I can't wait to get mine. I really hope that I actually get that playmat that actually has Mothman split down the center, one side light, one side dark. But we don't have a specific street date yet for those streamer kits. Rob the Rob asks, "Hi Mike, will we need to purchase a ticket to Comic-Con for Casters Cup this year?" And Mike responds with, "Not for the Casters Cup." That is an amazing announcement right there by itself, because that's saying that if you were playing in Casters Cup, you will not have to get a Comic-Con's ticket, which was going to be really hard for a lot of people. Like, I was already trying to figure out how to get a ticket to Comic-Con just for Casters Cup. Now that we don't need that ticket, we will probably still have to pay some sort of entry fee, just like they started implementing with the Flame Tower. But if we don't have to worry about a New York Comic Con ticket in order to get into Casters Cup, that's going to be huge and open up Casters Cup to a lot more people than originally I was thinking. Honorable Judge Maddie asks, "When will more stuff be added to the MPN site? I would love to scoop up the new binders." Mike responds with, "Yup, including exclusives." I'm excited about this because that will encourage more people to actually play the game, to encourage gameplay, which they've been trying to focus on right now. Because if they put exclusive merchandise, exclusive things on the MPN redeemable shop, the only way to get those is by playing the game. So that's a brilliant move in my opinion. I can't wait to see what some of these exclusives are. Happy Kitty 05 says, Andy, any guess on when we will see war spoiler packs at a convention? Andy responds with, they're not the next thing we're handing out at a convention. No idea what he is referencing here, but that if it's not the war spoilers, I know that they're actually doing the tower packs with bundles for Flame Tower, but technically the next con that they would really be at, I think, would be Kansas City Collecticon, so we might have to just wait for that to see exactly what he's talking about. Nyron asks, will the distinction of first edition and all other editions be stopped in the future? And Mike says, nope. That honestly makes a lot of sense, and that's something he's kind of said a couple times now, where first edition will always be the first initial distribution of that product. Like with Native, think of all of the booster boxes and the spell books and such like that went out to the distributors, the LGSs, the partner stores. The second edition is always going to be the big box stuff that we actually get. Think like the Seance blisters that we're getting right now. Okay, Wagsteph asks, do you guys take interns? What would you be looking for in an intern? And Mike says, planning an intern program soon, actually. Big Wildebeest asks, what happened to native NFT boxes? Mike responds with soon. Justin P asks, can you give us a spoiler on who Ben B is and how he fits into the story? Mike responds with, you'll have to just read the books. Now, I do think that Ben B is related to Paul Bunyan. I do believe that he is most likely the grandson of Paul Bunyan. Paul Bunyan traditionally did have a brother and he did have a son, but neither of them were named Paul. So logically to me, it would make sense that Ben B is Paul Bunyan's grandson. Gumby 101 asks, rewards for casters at the top of leaderboards for the online client, whether it's in-game packs or real-life product or MPN points, or all. Mike responds with, yes, we will have things like that. Wild Hobby asks, any big box store or online store version of Native coming? Mike responds with, yes. I wouldn't be surprised if he had another 3-pack blister of Native, or if maybe eBay, they actually do another collaboration with eBay regarding Native. I see Native coming into the big box stores, but probably not for the next, I would say at least 2 months. Faptical Tactical asks, why no Bold Matsururi or Spookala? Does Florida scare you? Mike says, Florida scares me, but we will be at Spookala next year. I didn't catch the first part of the question, but at one point, Caster MJ asks, minus top 32 of last year's Caster Cup, correct? Asking for a teammate. Mike responds with, that only applied to the first 2 towers, I believed. Later on, after reading some more of it, I realized that the top 32 spots, the way that they were actually doing it from Caster's Cup last year, they were able to get access into the Earth Tower and the Water Tower. As far as I'm aware, that no longer applies. You have to actually play an event within the time frame in order to qualify for the tower. You don't just get in automatically because of coming in the top 32 of Caster's Cup last year. Happy Kitty 05 asks, any guess on when, if MetaZoo will have a collaboration with PSA? Andy responds with, of course we will. Spooky Molder asks, will there be a 4th of July promo this year? Andy responds with, have something cooler coming for this year. Moody asks, can you provide a date for when you will announce War? Mike responded with, update on War coming soon, and that makes sense, and I'm getting excited about it because War is only about maybe a month and a half, 2 months away. We don't have a specific street date yet, but War is coming and War is soon, so I cannot wait to start getting War spoilers and getting a little bit of a taste of exactly what that set's going to be about. Ferocier asks, when will Seance playtester cards be released? And he responds with, I believe they ship the 30th to those in that group. So we will probably start actually seeing some Seance playtesters up for sale probably sometime in August once the playtesters actually receive them if they decide they want to sell them. Gumby 101 asks, any news on HeroQuest 3.0? Mike responds with, I think as we develop the brand more, we want to focus on MetaZoo specifically. So for now, a HeroQuest 3.0 isn't being planned anytime soon. Now, that doesn't mean that HeroQuest 3.0 might not come out in the future. That just means that for right now, I feel like they're actually more focused on War, they're focused on SCP, the transition into Yokai Island next year, the international release of MetaZoo being printed in English and Japanese, the book, the animated shorts, the glitch bit arcade system. There's a lot going on, so I kind of understand why they want to focus more on the MetaZoo brand specifically than branching out into the other verses. Layer Worlds asks, any UFO second language typed secrets in native? Mike responds with, everything you need to solve the UFO secrets can be found in UFO. It might be spread across other sets though. So that brought me to, I was like, wait a minute. And I asked, was my UFO theory regarding the second language being alchemy symbols close? And Mike responded with, nope, think about the set and what it is. So now I need to go back and actually relook at UFO. I have an idea of kind of what direction I want to go in, but I need to go back and I need to look back at UFO because he's saying that we still have not figured out what that second language is. Rainshine asks, cards with Arby's meals. Mike responds with, when we do a collab with a major fast food chain, it will be a completely unique set. So I'm taking that as we probably will be getting cards with Arby's, and it will be like, think of a McDonald's mini set that they actually do with Pokemon. It will be a small little mini set of MetaZoo cards, maybe 6, maybe 8. But I'm excited to see how this actually plays out with Arby's. Paletti asks, is there a type of content creation MetaZoo would like to see more from the community? And Mike responds with, more gameplay would be amazing. Layer Worlds asks, any plans for a darker or horror set? Mike responds with, I believe our darker days are behind us. As we grow and focus more on a younger demo, we have to focus on art that's more generally acceptable. And I fully actually, I agree with this. Not saying that any of the MetaZoo art that we have seen so far has been out of this line or anything like that, but if they want to bring in more of a younger demographic, they want to bring in some of the younger kids. Artwork that we see in Seance, for example, some of the artwork that we saw in Nightfall, if they toned it down a little bit, I think it would actually be more generally accepted by a larger audience. I don't think this is Mike saying they're going to tone down the idea of the art that they actually have, but I do think that this means that they're not going to go as risque as they might have been, or they could, because of some of the ferociousness of some of these beasties. And like I said, I fully support this. I love the idea of them keeping it family friendly to where like I can involve my kids, but at the same time they can still push it a little bit like they have before in the past, like I said, with Nightfall and Seance. Metazak asks, are the Discord supporter medals still on the roadmap? And Andy responds with, yup. And of course, one of my favorite questions, it was the last question, and it was by Argos, and he asked, MetaZoo first book leather-bound premium first edition? And Andy responds with yes. We've been teased before in the past that there's going to be a very limited print run of the first edition books, if you will, and they're going to be leather-bound books. They'll have extra doodles and extra side notes inside of them. I want one of them so bad. We've been told that they potentially might be on the marketplace. We don't have a price point or, like I said, a release date because of the book or anything like that yet. I want one of them so bad though. That's all I got for you for this recap. Once again, my name is Turmentic. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Let me fill you in on all of the MetaZoo news that we got from this last MetaZoo Hour. Make sure to check out the other content on the channel, specifically the comic videos, along with all of the Cryptid theory videos as well. But as always, no matter where you are, I hope you have a wonderful day.